Hey everybody, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm so glad to see everybody here today, and some of you are celebrating by wearing green. I don't know if you can tell, I got a nice hunter green shirt on with a green sweater, so I'm all good to go. There will be no pinching here. Nancy, I have to call you out. I love the cross culture that we've got going on with your pin with the Star of David and the Shamrock. Is that what you said? That is so awesome. Very, very cool. Yes, Shamrock pin with the Star of David in the center. I love it. Love it, love it. All right, so hey, welcome to everybody. If you are new here, there's a couple of things that are going on in the chat area. If you're new, I'd love for you to pop in and say hello. And let us know where you're from. We are from all around the world, and I'd love to know where you're from. And also, we've got a fun little survey going on. I just want to know if you're wearing green today because it is St. Patrick's Day. And, you know, even if you're not Irish or Irish Catholic for that matter, a lot of people celebrate it anyway, and we are all wearing green. So nice to see you. Like I said, if you're new here, do pop in a little note, say hello, tell us where you're from, just like Dawn did, and Elizabeth. Welcome, ladies. So glad to see you here. We are running with scissors every Thursday. We do a fun, crafty card every week and have a good time at it. And there's lots of things going on, like I said. Let's get to some quick announcements. Actually, I have not changed this at all. We're going to skip down to, well, if you're new, you want to know what we're doing this month. We're doing paste, powder, and paint. Today we are diving into paint, acrylic paint to be more specific. So acrylic paints on a card. Very, very cool. In April, we are going to be doing a stamp focus. That means that we're going to be focusing on one stamp set, and it is this stamp set from Picket Fence. It is an amazing stamp set. It's called Walk, Crawl, or Run. I do have this linked down below in the description if you need to get it so that you can follow along with the challenge and have some fun with the stamp set. You've got an opportunity to get that before we get started in April. And we're going to be doing a challenge along with that. It's a challenge to get people excited and amped up about the technique library. The technique library is always open, but we're going to run a challenge along with it, and it's going to be really a fun time. If you are interested in hearing more about that, I want you to sign up for my mailing list. And when you do that, you're going to get a freebie. It's got a whole bunch of techniques in it. So it'll give you kind of a little taste of what the exclusive membership is about, because there's some things that you get in the membership that you don't normally get with my Tuesday technique posts. And you just need to go to NicoleWattCreates.com/technique freebie to sign up. You'll get the freebie, and then you'll be on my mailing list, and you'll find out more about the challenge as soon as I have everything up and running and ready for you to sign up for it. So there you go. Crafty sales. There are lots of crafty sales going on every week. I keep that page up to date on the daily. So as I hear about new craft sales, I do update that page. Check it out, bookmark it. Go there first before you shop anywhere to see if there's any great deals going on. As always, if you're inspired by anything that you see on this channel, whether it's a technique that you've put into practice that you learned on my channel or something I'm creating here on Thursdays, I love to see how I'm inspiring you. So if you're on Instagram, please do tag me at NicoleWattCreates, and I'd love to see what you're creating. I'll drop a comment and tell you how much I love what it is that you're working on. All right, guys, so I always truly appreciate everything that you do to support me and my channel here and everything that I'm doing in the craft world. So that also includes using my affiliate links, which are down below. That's everything that I am using today. So if you do need to do some crafty shopping, I'd love for you to use an affiliate link. That means that I'll get a small commission on your order at no additional cost to you. It's a very easy way to support crafters in the industry. If you are not needing to do any crafty shopping, but you want to say thank you anyway, you can always drop me a tip in the tip jar. I do appreciate those little bits of cash along the way, some excellent cups of coffee to keep me going while I'm creating all this great content for you. So thank you to all of my tippers last week. I really, really, really appreciate all of your support. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. And always, Thank you to my new subscribers. If you're not actually a subscriber here yet, do click on the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate this as well. And while you're here, don't forget to click the like button if you are in love with today's content so that the YouTube algorithm knows how great this stuff is. Anyway, that's it for announcements. So I was like looking for this piece of paper towel and totally didn't even realize that my whole project was sitting over in the other area. So I'm glad I grabbed it in time. Hey, here's today's project. And I need, where is, oh, there it is. I need my remote control so we can back out just a little bit. Here's today's awesome project. For some reason on my screen, it looks kind of dull, but these colors are really bright and vibrant. And it's really going to be a fun project. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create some shapes. We're going to use them as masks to do this really cool background. All right, so the only caveat to this whole project is that acrylic paint takes time to dry. So we're going to do the background piece and then we're going to move to my pre-finished piece because, well, just because we need to continue on with the whole project, right? So this is what we actually are trying to create. And I'm going to give you guys an option right now as we get set up. I have all of the hexagons done and I can show you how to do that to create these little pieces, these little fun doodads. Or we can do a different shape. I pulled out two different shapes for you. I pulled out, so here's the nesting hexagon dies. I'm going to show you how to do this. But we can do a different shape. We can do diamonds or we can do circles. So if you want to pop in a quick comment on if you would like to see me do diamonds or circles instead so you can get another idea beyond just hexagons, let me know. I mean, we will end up creating just this card today because the other piece is going to have to dry. But if you want to see diamonds or circles, pop it in the comments. All right. So while you guys are popping in your opinion, I'm going to start by showing you how the pieces work for the hexagons. All right, so this is kind of giving it away right here. Super simple, guys. You can create masks from your dies, right? Everyone knows that. But you can also create these really fun double shapes. So basically what I did is I took two of my different nesting layers. As you can see here, they are not adjacent so that they've got a little bit more space. All right, so I took two that I thought would be a good size to multiply on a card. And I went ahead and I taped them together with some temporary tape. All right, so with the hexagons, I'm going to pull this apart just to show you. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. If you want to have a perfect outline, you can line them up perfectly. All right. And then you can create the same concept. They will just be like perfect hexagons, right? But what I did is I offset this a little bit. So I pushed it towards one end so that this side right here will be more narrow. Okay, so once you've got it set up the way you like it, you want to tape them together. And just some masking tape will work well, or washi tape, or Post-it tape, whatever you want to do. Either way will work. All right, so see, I've got them just taped together, and that's going to work out awesome. So then I can run them together through my die machine. All right, so I've got these little slim pieces here. All right, and as I do that, I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of hexagons. All right, and you see how they're offset. So this side is thicker than this side. All right, so this does, yeah, exactly, Dawn. It creates an interesting and unique shape. So instead of making it perfectly even, it gives you a little bit of a different look. All right, so let's see what everyone wants. Whoa, hang on. I have my mouse right here and I just like clicked on something and I did not mean to click on. All right, let's see. I see lots of diamonds, 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 diamonds. Cece, you're the only one that wants circles. Cece, I will do circles for you offline and then I'll post it just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so let's put together diamonds. Actually, I'm kind of excited about the diamonds. All right, so the caveat to my diamonds is that I'm using the fine frames diamonds from Altenew, which means that I'm going to get these really teeny tiny frames as well. But it works. So you can use any nesting set that you have, even though this is going to create like these little frames. I'm just going to have extra little pieces. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. I could take these two diamonds. Ooh, see, I could do something like this, which would be really cool. That would be very mid-century modern. That would look really, really neat, guys. But what I thought originally was instead of doing them even, like so, is that hard to see? Let's put it on white. And let's flip them over like we're actually going to tape them together. Okay. So instead of doing them even, which would be pretty, right? You could do them as long as it's not going to overlap, right? You could do diamonds this way, which would be very cool. And they look like it looks like a little bird beak. Or what I was thinking is I want to do it just like I did with the hexagons. I want to push that inside shape down closer to one end. So you get a narrower end and a thicker end, and it's going to create a really cool kind of a teardrop effect, or kind of like a peacock eye effect. All right, so I'm just going to take a couple pieces of tape and put those together, and then we need to make a whole bunch of these. So really the boring part, we need to make a whole bunch. All right, and so like I said, because this is the thin frames, oh, I'm going to need to grab a because it's a thin frames, I do need to grab my my shim. Oh, one. Okay, hey, that worked. So I'm going to get these thin frames that I totally don't need. But this is the piece that I'm looking for in the end. All right, so I'm going to have a little piece in the center here that I need to pop out, and a couple of thin frames. So when you decide to do this, you need about 8 to 10. All right, so, and because this is a thin frames, like I said, I'm going to end up with these extra pieces, all right, because that's exactly what this die is designed for. But we really just want this piece right here. All right, so I need to make a whole bunch of these. So we'll just die these through. And having my little mini blossom here is super handy, as long as you can crank a die cut machine. It's nice to have the little mini blossom on the side to just do it right at your desk. All right, so I'm going to end up with all sorts of extra pieces, which is great. I can use them for another project. We'll just see. All right, so 3. All right, So did you guys have a good week? Time flies by so quickly. All of a sudden it's a Thursday again, and here we are having fun crafting, hanging out with each other, chatting it away in the chat box. And it's already the middle of April, or middle of April. Boy, shh, don't say that. Already the middle of March. Time really does fly. So as you go through and do this kind of thing, you want to try to make sure as much as possible not to allow your dies to come apart. So that way you're keeping the same spacing as you go along. If that happens though, you can use one of your already cut pieces to kind of reset everything. All right, so how many pieces do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming up on 5. All right, so Dawn says this is her first time catching me live. Well, welcome, Dawn. We're glad you're here. And Cece said that she had a nice week. That's good. The weather has been kind of up and down here. I've been hitting the driving range, trying to get ready for golfing. My husband's already out golfing, but I didn't really golf a whole lot last year, so I need to literally get back into the swing of things. All right, so this seems like a whole bunch of work, right? The good news is that the pieces that we're creating here are going to, we're going to be able to reuse them. I'm going to show you what that looks like as we create our background piece. Plus, it's like the only thing going on this card, so you want to make it wow, right? And it's a lot of fun to play with acrylic paint and do some color mixing. All right, so this one I didn't really get lined up well, but we'll be able to use that. It'll just go on an end, and we won't have to worry about it. This kind of reminds me of like when you're working on a card that maybe it's a multi-layer die set or something like that, and you feel like you're cutting dies forever. But the end result is always so worth it. All right. So I should have 6, 7, 8 now, I think. And because these might be a little smaller than the hexagons, I'm going to do a couple more. Just because I don't want to run short and then need to do this over again, right? So I think I'm going to cut, I think I have 8. Probably going to want 10, but I know I can get 3 off of this piece, so I'll do 11. So 2 more. So Sue, I want to know, did you end up using any of your avocado paper for doing any kind of gel plate work? We talked about that last week. I thought, oh, that would be a lot of fun. A fun way to use that avocado paper. All right, one more, guys. Woohoo! Then we get into the fun stuff. And the card itself really isn't that hard to do. It's the prep work. Oh. All right. Go. I'm done with this little guy. Hopefully. All right, and I'm not even gonna, well, I guess I can get these out of here. Hopefully, like I said, we don't need it anymore. And hopefully that'll be good. Okay, so all of these little pieces, all of these little triangle diamonds, I can totally use for another project. I've got smaller ones. I've got the small insides. So you could really kind of use these pieces together and make a more complex pattern if you wanted to. You know, like so. If you wanted to do something along those lines, you totally could do that. Okay, so let's see where we're at. All right, next step. Black piece of cardstock. And because I love the contrast of the color on black, and this really showcases the opacity of acrylic paint, right? Versus being a watercolor or something like that. If you don't have acrylic paint, you can do the same thing with your embossing pastes, any kind of embossing pastes or glazes. You can mix color into your white embossing paste to make it various colors. You can use paper glazes. The paper glaze by Picket Fence is a high acrylic compound, and so it kind of has this acrylic-y plastic feel, just like an acrylic paint would. So if you don't have acrylic paints, you can do the same technique. All right, just grab your embossing pastes and improvise. All right, because that's what it's all about. I mean, it's not about creating exactly what you see here. It's about saying, oh, what do I have that I could do the same thing with? All right, so I got my black cardstock. Again, you could do this with a different color cardstock too. If you wanted to do it on white, you could. If you wanted to do navy or a different color, you certainly could do that. And the key to this is using a repositionable tape. So this is the Easy Dots from Scrapbook Adhesives, and these are repositionable. So I use this a lot when I'm staging my cards, and you don't need to get it all over the place as it sticks to my finger. I just have it right here and right here. You can see those little dots on there. That's the repositionable tape, and it just balls up and comes right off the paper. All right, so this stuff is a really good thing to have in your craft space because you can use it to temporarily stick things together to test out a design or anything like that. Okay, so basically I'm going to kind of eyeball the center here. And if you want to get scientific about it and put a pencil line in here, you certainly can. But this is pretty good. All right, so I just have that temporary tape here. And then that's all I needed to do. Okay, so now we need to set these guys up. And you can put as large or as small of a space in between. All right. So look, we're just creating a pattern. And if, like I said, if you wanted to, you can use the little pieces. If you wanted to add in, you know, some kind of decorative, you know, little change up, you certainly could. Oops. So I taped the first one down, and the rest of them I am just kind of dry fitting in place because I want to make sure that I like the spacing and that I think I'm going to have enough to actually do the process, right? Okay. So looks to me like if I wanted to create more, I certainly could. Or I can add in, because I think what I would need, maybe not. If you want to be picky about it. Okay, so what I actually need here, sometimes it's helpful to work with just the smaller piece so you can see exactly what you would need. So let's do this one this direction. So it looks to me like I could cut these guys. So remember, repeating pattern. I'm going to cut them. I think this could be a mistake. We'll find out. Right. So my repeating pattern, then this is going to fit here. And that's going to go there. You see how I'm filling in the space now so that I've got a full piece. So again, that goes there. That goes there. I'm still going to run short because I don't have, well, I can cut this one. If I had cut this one correctly, we would have been almost perfect. Let's see, I didn't cut that one right. We can make something happen there, guys. We can do it. And then, like, if I wanted to do that, we could do that. All right. Ooh, is that making your eyeballs, like, zone out? Okay. So now I'm just having, just putting a little bit of the temporary adhesive. I'm going to make the spaces in between these just a hair bigger. That'll help. All right, so if I make the space a hair bigger, it'll be even better. So you don't need to put temporary adhesive all the way around. As a matter of fact, you don't really want to, because you want to be able to pull up from one side so we can remove these before it dries. So I will say, if you are new here and this looks like a complex project, it is a little bit for such an easy, clean and simple look, right? Some weeks we do easier projects. Some weeks we do more in-depth projects. It just kind of depends. I like to balance things out where I can. All right, so I'm seeing now. See how that works out nice because it's temporary. I was able to lift that up. It's helpful. This can be a little Zen process, right? You don't have to think too hard about it. We're just cutting shapes and putting them together. If you wanted to mix and match shapes and create something really abstract, you could totally do that too. Now these little pieces, I'm not going all the way to the top with the temporary adhesive because, again, I want to be able to pull it up easily and I want to have something to grip later. You'll see what a fun mess that is. Okay. I might have to cut another piece anyway. All right. All right, so the question is, Lisa says, I've never used acrylic paint. I'm really scared of making a mess with it. We're not going to make a mess with it. Oh, hey guys, check this out. No, that's not. I am going to cut one more because see, look at this piece here. It did not cut properly. So it's just as easy for me to cut another one of these, right? Simple. And then it'll be done right. There it is. All right, so here is our finished look. And I can just trim this off a little here. There we go. Okay. Acrylic paint. This process will be just as messy whether you use acrylic paint or you use embossing paste, powder, whatever, or paste, embossing paste, because you're just going to use your paste and a palette knife. We're going to have some fun. Okay. Let me even back up a little further here. All right, so we are done with the boring part, which was putting together our little pattern. And it looks terrific just the way it is. Yeah, it is cool, the black and white like this, right? Okay, so I have 3 colors of acrylic paint, and I picked out heavy body acrylic because it's not going to run as much. It's nice and thick, kind of like an embossing paste. Okay, so I've got 3 colors here. I've got Quinacridone Magenta. So it's this magenta color instead of a pure red. I have Yellow Light Hansa. So it's a yellow color. And then Phthalo Blue in the green shade. So it's a blue color that has just a little bit of green in it. So it's not as like crayon blue. All right. Here's the fun part. So like I said, this is just like using embossing paste. You see how nice and thick that is? Super, super thick. All right. You can work at an angle. You can work straight down, top to bottom, however you want. All right. So we're starting with this beautiful magenta color. And I'm just taking my palette knife and you start covering everything up. So just be careful. Don't get your hand in your paint here. The cool thing about this is you want to keep the texture. So you don't want it to be perfectly smooth. You want that texture to come through. And you want to cover up the black paper as much as possible. All right. And then in between, I've got just a damp cloth here. This is a microfiber cloth. This will clean up off of here. So no big deal. All right. Lisa says she's one of those people that gets it in her hair and her nose. Yeah, you know. I've been accused of being too neat for a mixed media artist, so. All right, so next one is Yellow Light Hansa, or yellow, any yellow shade that you have. So I'm going to go pure yellow first. And as we know, yellow and red make orange. Yes, okay. So we want to get nice yellow across here first. We don't want to mix to start off with. So you see how there's a barrier in between? Yeah, it's a good thing. So Sue wants to know, will this cut with, can you die cut this? Yeah, absolutely. It is, it's bendable, so it's not going to crack and break, which is the great thing about using acrylics or embossing paste for that matter. Most embossing pastes will dry flexible, so you can die cut them. All right, so yellow and red. So now I'm going to add yellow and red together on my palette here and make some orange. This makes the most beautiful orange. If you don't mix enough yellow in here, it ends up being a little bit on the red side, but you can get a nice fiery orange. All right, so just playing around in my palette here. This is an Ulta New palette, their medium, I think it's their medium palette. All right, so I don't need a whole lot of this because I am going to actually be able to mix into them, but we're going to just go right over the center section here. So pre-mixing the orange is helpful because you're not trying to then mix these two colors together. You're just trying to bridge the gap. And there you go. So I've got some extra on here. Let me just wipe that off. I'll wipe it off with my cloth here. And then I'm going to come back in and like come down from the top to try to make these less severe breaks. Same thing with the bottom. Just make sure that you're cleaning off your knife so that way you don't bring it down too far. All right, there we go. Yeah, Cece says she didn't realize that the acrylic paint she had was thick body. Well, now you know. And now you have a project. Okay, so we've got our yellow here already, so we're going to go into Phthalo Blue. And this is a lovely blue. Look at that. Oh, so good. I'm going to just drop that into the bottom here. And I'm okay having gone all the way down here. No problem. This will turn into like a nice little, fun little piece right down here. Okay, and then of course our blue and yellow is gonna be green. It's a gorgeous green too. Oh, green, it's our color of the day, right? This one you don't need a whole lot of blue, otherwise it will overpower the yellow very quickly. Check that out. You don't have to mix these perfectly, like it doesn't have to be solid. It's kind of fun that it's when it's got the separate colors in there. All right. There we go. And then again, wiping off here and then kind of coming down from the yellow. If you feel like a lot of times the yellow gets lost. If you feel like you need to add more yellow in at the end, again, clean off your knife and then just add some fresh yellow in strategic places. All right, but that's good. All right, here comes the super messy part. So you thought this was messy, right? So we are done with this. We are done with this. This is acrylic paint. It will clean up while it's still wet with water. So it just needs to get soaking. So I just put some water on it. That works out well. So see, I've got my sleeves pulled up because we gotta do it for this one. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. All right, you see the mess? Let's watch the magic. So remember, we didn't stick down everything. So I've just got some tweezers here. Hello. There we go. We're going to pull up our pieces. All right, and I'm just setting them off to the side. So you just gotta find them sometimes. These ones on the side are easier to find. Tweezers are a really good tool for this process. All right, and remember, I didn't put double-sided or the temporary adhesive on both sides, and there was a reason for that, so that it would, the one side would be easier to grab and pop up. So you see how that just kind of popped up. This is not satisfying. I mean, like, pulling these off is awesome. Go. If you can, sometimes it's helpful to be able to bend this, and you see how those popped right up. That's going to help me grab those last couple. So try to leave the ends of your sheet clear so you can stick your hand on them without having to get them all dirty. All right, and there is one more right here. All right, so once you have, look at that, all of these off, looks really awesome. This needs to dry. So this is going to dry. I prefer to leave it overnight. I don't even touch it. You don't want to test it. You know that 24 hours from now, it's going to be dry. You shouldn't have an issue with that. And all of this stuff in the middle, this is your temporary adhesive, that will come up. Okay. The other thing that you want to do is the pieces that you pulled off, just leave them just like this to dry, and you'll be able to use them for a project. All right, so this is what my little finished bit looks like right here. So I did end up getting some more on my hands too. And this is going to get set aside to dry for 24 hours. Okay, so let me carefully move this out of the way. Go. All right, so 24 hours later, you'll end up with something like this. All right, it is flexible, it is bendable. So if you wanted to die cut this, you totally could die cut this. So if you didn't want to do a pattern like this, you could take your paint and just smear it all the way across in whatever color gradient you wanted to do it. And then you could go back and die cut whatever shapes you wanted to, right? So you could do that totally too, right? So you've got these pieces, and then any of the double-sided adhesive, like say there's some, you know, stuck inside of here like so. You're just going to gently rub, and it's going to come right off. Gorgeous. All right. Sometimes this is going to happen, right? It might get underneath a little bit. That's okay. All right. So that's just part of being handmade. The cool part then is that you end up with all of these too. So not only do I have this piece to work with, but I have all these fun leftover pieces with all sorts of different paint on them to create a whole nother project. So that's why it's kind of worth going through the pain of creating your own little pieces here, because you're going to be able to reuse these on any of your other projects. You could create an opposite look, right? With, you know, on a piece of white, you could just put these down and create a very similar look to this, or you could use them onesie twosie. You could do some collage design with it, all sorts of different things that you could do with these guys, and they're gorgeous. They're totally worth saving. So that's why I saved them off on the other sheet, because they're going to totally get reused in a project. All right, so this now just needs to get cut down, and I cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. When you cut it down, you want to take into consideration center point, right? So like if I'm looking here, my center point is going to be right down the center of this little divider here and this large hexagon. All right, so if I wanted to do a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you know, that's where I would want it to be. And then I would be cutting 4 1/8 off of either side and making sure that I'm centering whatever it is that I want to be in the center. You know, I could do something really cool like this with this just kind of smeared out background here and only part of the design. That would be really cool too. There's a lot of things that you could do with this. You could cut it even smaller, do any number of things that you want to do with this. All right, but let me go ahead and cut this down. Okay, so here is my panel, and then I've got these extra little pieces here. These again will be really great for another project. So there's a lot of different things that I could do with these. So those will definitely go in the scraps bin. All right. Next. See, this rapidly winds down because we've done all the hard work, right? So when you spend a lot of time creating an amazing background like this, you don't want to do a lot to detract from that, right? You don't need to add a whole bunch of sequins. You don't need to add a whole bunch of extra layers or coloring or anything like that. We really want this background to shine. So this is going to just go straight on a piece of white card base. You could even not even put a sentiment on this, right? If you wanted to just leave this plain, that would look really great. Nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people like to leave their cards plain and then add the sentiment on as they need them. So, you know, obviously you could do that for this as well. All right, so there we go. There is that. And then we're going to do just some simple stamping and heat embossing. So this is the all lined up stamp set by the Stamp Market, and I love it. It's got these big open spaces. You could do a thanks, you could do a hi there, a hello, a sorry, all sorts of great sentiments from this one. So the nice thing about this one too is that the design, it could be very masculine, right? So this could be a really great masculine card. So we already have a thanks. Let's do a hello. All right, and we're going to do some heat embossing real quick, because glossy like glossy, right? So we've got all this nice gloss going on here. Adding a little shine on your sentiment is a really great idea. All right, so load that into my SD along with the sentiment that's in my hand. once you've got it stamped on here, of course, you can cut down your cardstock if you feel like it's too long. So we'll pop this up a little higher. Hey, Amanda, so good to see you. Amanda from Pear Blossom Press has joined us. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of anti-static. Not a whole lot, just enough. And then I like to do white embossing powder or white ink when I'm doing white embossing. It helps fills in any spaces that you might miss. All right, and of course, pigment ink works really well for embossing ink. See how well that worked? So there we go. Really gorgeous. If you're wondering how, it gets a little bit chalky looking because we've done our anti-static powder on here, you can take just a dry cloth and wipe that off, or like I like to do, just on my pant leg. Watch how this works. And like magic, it's black. All right. This is going to go right on our card base. We're going to pop this up. So I'm just going to use some foam adhesive strips. And this piece ends up being, this is just slightly larger than a 1/2 inch wide. So it works really well with this 1/2 inch foam strip. And you see how we've got this little schmutz here that came out underneath our hexagon? Well, guess what? We're going to cover it up. Let's just say it didn't even matter. And there you go. An excellent, excellent card. Ta-da! So lots of effort up front doing our fun work with acrylic and creating these really cool pieces, right? I mean, these leftover pieces are really primo. These are going to make some really great cards themselves. We've got to wait for it to dry, but in the end, it's a really great card. This is one that people keep on their desk for a long, long time because it's just really, really artistic looking. All right, so super simple, masculine, or, for whomever may really enjoy a little bit of a rainbow card with the drama of the black going on. So there we go, guys. A little bit of fun. I hope that I've inspired you to create something cool. So don't forget that if you, where am I going here? There we go. If you're inspired by this, I would love to see what you create. Pop it over onto Instagram at Nicole Creates. Love to see your projects. I'm glad you guys liked it. Don't forget about all of the announcements from earlier today. Our Stamp Focus stamp set for next month with Picket Fence. It's going to be fabulous. You're going to learn so much. Being a part of the challenge is going to be really amazing. You're going to get all sorts of perks as a part of the challenge. So stay tuned for that. I will have signups for that very, 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 very soon. It's just, this is the first time I'm doing it, so it's taking a little bit of time to get everything put together, but it's going to be so worth it because we're going to have a great time. So I'm glad that you enjoyed your time with me today. I enjoyed my time with you. So glad to see all of you online. And don't forget on your way out to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's content. I will see you guys next week for more running with scissors. And until then, happy crafting.